We're returning to our top story now, and the nomination of Chuck Hagel as U.S. Defense Secretary. To discuss Barack Obama's selection, we're joined by Joe Sestak in Washington, D.C. He's a former U.S. Democratic congressman and a retired U.S. Navy admiral. He also served as the Director of Defense in the National Security Council under the Clinton administration. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for taking the time to join us.
Good to be with you, Lauren.
Thank you. Chuck Hagel's critics have said that he's opposed sanctions on Iran and he's been supportive enough of Israel. How is he going to answer those critics?
Well, I think it's very obvious that Chuck Hagel is such a great choice for America's defense minister. With regard to that specific questions, it's not that he opposed sanctions. He opposed unilateral sanctions. What he wanted, and he recognizes that only sanctions that work was when you have all the countries of the world imposing the sanctions. Otherwise, they would seep through. Look, Chuck Hagel, a man who served in Vietnam, who not only has 2 Purple Hearts on his chest, but also shrapnel still in his chest from that war, understands that militaries can stop a problem, Lauren, but they can't fix a problem. So therefore, with regard to Israel, he strongly understands that Israel is vital to United States security, and therefore we must defend Israel. But he also understands that if we are really to fix the issues out there, that we need to get to a 2-state solution. And so what he proposes is negotiations, just like President Obama does, but never take a military option off the table, but let's try to resolve it with the other elements of our power.
Okay. So
I think we are very fortunate to have him.
So just on the point of the issue with Israel, I mean, the lobby that he's described as the Jewish lobby, and that obviously caused issues for him at the time. They've put out statements when he was suggested as a nomination. One of them said, the appointment of Chuck Hagel would be a slap in the face for every American who's concerned about the safety of Israel. So regardless of what he's actually said about Israel or what he would propose, there is a body of people out there who are against him. How is he going to go up against that opposition?
Well, just like any nominee, as you saw in the past in America, there's always going to be some opposition. Because of a less than artful phrase doesn't mean that he's not qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. It's what does he bring to the table. And I think what you're going to see is when he sits there before the senators, that you are going to see him answer the questions that they propose to him in a very thoughtful way. This is a man who actually did vote to impose the various types of strictures upon terrorists, but he understood that you have to also be able to have a dialogue. I understand that there are some phrases at times that no politician uses as artfully as he wants, but I have to tell you something. I can remember when I went to Iraq with Senator Hagel. I mean, I was Democrat, and we went there and met with Prime Minister Maliki. There was just Ambassador Cocker in there with the 3 of us. And I watched this senator speak about America's interest, telling the Prime Minister that if you do not resolve the Sunni-Shia split that you have and try to take a hold of it, it cost America too much to continue this inartful war. In short, we will have a man who really understands the place of war in America.
Just briefly, I mean, he has strong views. Do you think he'll toe the line with the government, or do you think he'll stick up for his principles? And is there anything you think he'll specifically change in defense policy as a result of his strong views?
If I got the first half of your question correctly, do I think he's going to stand up and be independent and speak his mind? In a heartbeat. He did have the Veterans Administration where the head of the VA was not supporting vets and said, this is wrong, and left. Then he did, when stood up to his own party, when he felt, or those that were more conservative party said, Iraq is being executed poorly and it's not in the best interest of America. I think the president needs someone alongside him just like that. As far as defense policy, what he also understands, we are, to some degree, still building parts of our military based on the Cold War, buying types of instruments of war that aren't as pertinent to the new type of warfare. Look, he understands, as head of the Foreign Intelligence Advisory Committee, that it's all about cyberspace warfare, gaining intelligence, turning into information, and then knowledge to reach out and find where, for example, bin Laden is in order to have the agility and swiftness to then take him. It's not about quantity of warfare vessels. It's about capability on sufficient number of capabilities. So when of ships or planes. The bottom line is it's about a new type of military in the future that he will help us bring about.
Joe Sestak, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Great to be with you.
Here in the UK,